basically, what we're going to do is start with what is a vision board. That's the very first question. And if the slides don't come up when it's time for questions, I'll just definitely let you know. I think that's where we left off. So when it comes to a vision board, let's break it down. So vision, obviously, just means being able to see. But in terms of a vision board, it's being able to see into the future, into specifically your future. And so that's the vision part. And then the board is simply the medium. And so what I want to really make clear tonight is the medium is what you use to capture that vision of your future, but it can look in like a multitude of different ways. I really want you to take a minute and just reimagine a vision board, okay? Because you actually, in terms of the vision part, you create them all the time. If you are a business owner and you've created a business plan, you have set down the intention for your business, you've written it down, and then you go about making that happen in what you do daily. That is the same concept as a vision board. If you've decorated a room and torn out pictures from magazines and then worked with a decorator or worked with someone or just even on your own and figured something out, that is bringing your vision to life. That is very similar to the concept of a vision board. Planning a party, a kid's party, a bar mitzvah, a wedding, anything, that's all sort of that same thing. It's taking a plan, putting it down on paper, and then creating a vision for it. And even something as simple as a to-do list can be considered a vision board. So at this point, are there any questions on sort of my take or my concept of a vision board? Okay. So the next question is, how do I know what to put on my vision board? And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They'll go out and they'll buy the supplies, or they'll set the intention to create their vision board, and then they're like, I don't know what to put on it, right? So I want you to consider some of the following concepts. One could be creating a mind map. And what I mean by a mind map is you start with a subject, a goal, or a category, and then you break it down. So on this mind map, we're going to use the example of health, okay? So in terms of health, let's say you want to work on your physical health. And you say, my weight's not where I want it to be. And so you think, how can I, work on that? How, where do I want to land on that? And so maybe you'll say, I want to work on diet and exercise. And so maybe on your vision board, you stop there and you just put things that help you work on your diet and exercise. Or maybe you go one step deeper and you think, I've done that before. I've tried the dieting and the exercising and nothing seems to work. I really just don't have time to even think about it, right? Then when you dig a little bit deeper, you think, well, COVID-19 just happened and I had lots of time. And the opposite happened. I know for me, diet and exercise was supposed to be big on my list. And I ended up, I think I weigh more than I did when it started. So then it comes down to discipline, right? I'm just not disciplined. But then I think, I kind of am. I show up for everybody. I show up for my husband and my family and work and anyone else that needs me. But I don't seem to show up for myself. What's that all about? And I realize that maybe it's about self-worth. And so maybe I need to start there. And so I decide to land there and make a part of my vision board about self-worth. Or you can do the same thing with mental health. Like, okay, I've got the weight's good, the diet's good, I exercise, but I'm tired all the time. I'm just fatigued all the time. Well, what's that about? Well, I worry a lot. So I use things like prayer and meditation. So prayer, by the way, is when you're talking, when you're communicating, and meditation is taking that time to receive information. You're in a receptive mode when you're meditating. And through prayer and meditation, I realized that it's all about my self-talk, right? So that's going to be a part of my vision board. It's going to be all about those things that I tell myself, those things in my head, and how I can change that language to be more positive, which will help with the mental and the fatigue. Or you can do a sort of a vision board that's more motivational, right? So you gather all your papers and notes and photos that you have laying around, because we all have that, right? Where you've got a folder of things that are inspiring to you, or paper clippings laying around, or old photographs, or, you know, things that you come across and you think, wow, that really touches me in such a deep and profound way, right? I want to save that. You can gather all those things, put them on a vision board, and every time you look at that vision board, it takes you to that space where you're thinking and you're feeling in a deeper way. And that's one step closer to getting you in a space that's creative and thoughtful and thought-provoking, right? So that could be your vision board. Or you can go on a hunt for inspiration and take photographs, or go out in nature and pick up leaves, or just anything that inspires you. Or go and sit under a tree and write some notes down, or some thoughts. Make sure on your vision board that you cover all the things that mean something to you, like travel. Let's say your goal is to travel. Well, start recording the places that you want to visit. Or beauty, if you want to bring beauty into your life, start gathering things that are beautiful and making sure those are on your board. You can go into nature, like I said, and pick out things from nature. Or family. Maybe you want to be closer to your family. Maybe you want to set the intention to have friendships that feel like family, or you want to create a family. So all those things that are important to you, make sure they're on a vision board. And then you can also sort of ask yourself questions that sort of just create what you want in your vision board. So like, what did I want when I was younger, right? You can go back and think, what were the things that I wanted when I was younger? And maybe someone in your life told you those things weren't possible, or you weren't cut out for that. I know I heard that all the time when I was a kid. Oh, I don't think you're, material, I don't think that you'd be any good at that. I think you should do this instead. Or look at what other people are doing that inspire you, and use that as a point to motivate you to do more. Ask yourself, what's getting in the way of me going after what I want? Ask yourself, what would happen if I were successful? You'd be amazed at how many people, including myself, have a fear of success. Or what would happen if I failed? And explore that and make sure that that kind of stuff is on your vision board. What am I afraid of? The big thing I want you to do, as much as you feel comfortable, and this is a hard one, is to give yourself permission to dream big. So when I talk to people and I ask them, what is it that you really want? I always get, I can't really tell you what I really want because it will never happen because da-da-da-da-da. So already they've put limitations on themselves. This is your private vision board. Private only to you. This is between you and the universe. So don't be afraid to really dream and really dream big. So are there any questions about how to sort of get inspired or what kind of materials to put on the vision board?
Well,
yes,
Bill,
Mel.
I was going to say, Bill had a question. Is that what you're going to say too?
Yeah, I'll monitor the chat. How do we handle whenever what we have on a vision board is canceled? Do we start all over or do we modify it, Mel?
So if you have something on your vision board and it's canceled because you've decided to cancel it, or it just is apparent that it's not going to happen? That I'm asking.
COVID.
Both of them? Okay. So if it's If it's
Oh,
something that
COVID, the
you,
virus, lockdown,
COVID,
everything
yes,
is canceled.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. Oh, I get it. Okay. So COVID has been a really wonderful time, in my opinion, and I know lots of awful things have happened during COVID, but it's been a really wonderful time to sort of reflect. And so we've had a lot of time to spend in reflection. So if you are going after a dream and then it was canceled because of COVID, at some point, sometime, in some way, things are going to open up again. And so are you ready? Are you going to be ready? Are you going to modify? What's life going to be like? What is it that you had going on before? Is it still possible after COVID? Is this a sign to go in a different direction? These are all things that you want to go deep inside of yourself and ask and be reflective and sort of contemplate the different ways. Okay, this has happened. Because I had a vision board all set up and it didn't happen because of COVID. And so when I started like redoing my vision board and started digging down, I realized that half of what was on my old vision board wasn't stuff I even wanted. But you know what was on my vision board? A request for time. I literally would say, I wish things would just, I wish I could just get off the merry-go-round just for a minute and catch my breath and really spend some time and think. And guess what happened? So I did not order COVID-19 on my vision board. I just want you all to know that. But it's taking the silver lining of something really horrific and saying, what piece of this is for me? And what piece of this, what does this mean to me? And what positive, wonderful things can I make out of this? Did that answer your question? Am I still connected?
Yes, you are.
It answered,
Okay.
It answered it for me. I don't know if it did for Bill.
Did that help, Bill?
Oh, he's giving a thumbs up. Yes.
Okay. And yes,
Okay,
let me just
perfect.
add that when you're talking about the time, I mean, we were all to some extent in this boat. A couple of people on this call, I think they know that earlier in the year, I was talking about simplifying a lot of the things I was doing because I had a lot of time and energy drainers, could use another word. Suddenly, like most of us, we had a blank calendar. I didn't want to simplify that much.
Right. I understand. I understand.
I was able, like most of us, were adjusting to the new reality, the new normal, whatever, because we still don't know what that's going to be.
That's right. And I know that there's a lot of fear there, but underneath that fear, if you can work through that fear, if you can face that fear, or it might be frustration or whatever big feeling that you have over all of that, walk into it. Figure out what it's there, why it's there, and figure out what you can learn from it so you can walk through it and be stronger on the other side. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I keep looking at my phone.
You did mention travel. I had a couple travel plans. They'll just have to happen later.
Yes, exactly. And maybe because you have time, you'll have more time to, plan those trips. You're certainly going to enjoy those trips probably more than you would have before. I know everything for me, eating out and going for a walk and anything that I do means more because I wasn't able to do it for a while, right? So I've got a new appreciation for everything.
Thank you, Mel. We have another question from Debbie. She asked,
Okay.
do you have any recommendations on how to stay focused or disciplined towards your goals? And I think we might cover that on July 1st with accountability partners, but
yeah, I can answer that sort of in a short way. The very first thing you need to do is be kind to yourself because we all set goals, and Whitney can attest to this. Every week I set like these huge goals and I probably get half of them done. And sometimes I'm like, I'm so sick of seeing this goal, and I actually had time to work on it and decided it wasn't worth it, and I went in a different direction even. So, but be kind to yourself and just keep reworking. I think the important thing is to focus, to be focused, to be mindful, to work toward it. And you know, you can't eat an elephant all at once. You do it a chunk at a time. And so just every day doing something toward that, and then asking yourself, if it's really, really hard, is it something that you really want? Is this something that's really important to you right now? Maybe it's important, but maybe you need to focus on other things first, right? Maybe it's not so important that that's where you want to put your energy. And that's where we find and learn so much about ourselves. So give yourself permission to make goals, set goals, work towards those goals, not achieve those goals, and decide that you want to go in a different direction, or just keep working at it, just a little bit at a time. But be kind to yourself. The very last thing that you want to have happen is you don't want to set the goal, fail, and then go, forget it, I'm not doing that, just because you failed, right? You can go in a different direction for a lot of reasons, but don't just do it because you keep failing, if that makes sense.
That does. And I think something that you and I have learned in our coaching training, Mel, is to approach these types of situations, these failures, with curiosity and kindness.
Yeah.
And just kind of take a step back, like kind of put on your scientist hat and just get really curious about, okay, why didn't I achieve this? Or why didn't I focus on this week, without any judgment whatsoever?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions?
No.
I have a question, Mel.
Okay.
And maybe this might be later in the presentation and I can wait, but I have a question around your suggestion for source materials, because when I decide I want to do a vision board, I'll try and get a bunch of magazines and then like find the pictures that inspire me. And then I'll find like a food magazine and a family magazine that like none of those things really speak to my specific goals. So then I'll go on the internet to look up specific pictures, but then that's not really inspiring if I'm looking for, like it's not like a discovered inspiration if I'm printing things off the internet. So I'm wondering if you had any advice around that.
I do, absolutely. And it's actually the next thing we're going to talk about. What materials do I need?
Perfect.
So when it comes to the materials and just like the inspiration for your board, it's really, really important to make sure that it's inspiring. So if you want to do pictures. I'm one that I love words. And so my vision boards are all about keywords that get me towards my goals. And so I'll find something on Facebook, or Twitter or somewhere that's like, I'm like, wow, that's profound. And I'll write it. If it's not in words, somebody's, speaking it, I'll keep pausing until I've got it all written down. And then I create it in beautiful fonts on my laptop, print it out, cut it out, slap it on poster board, and then get it on my board. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be just pictures. It can be anything on the vision board.
Exactly. It can literally be anything. So now we're going to, again, reimagining the vision board and really understanding that it's not necessarily about the medium as much as it is capturing the goal through the feelings, right? So one winter, my vision boards were art. And so I picked up, just on a whim, a palette of watercolors, and I did watercolors all winter. And I really liked them, and they really just sparked a lot of just peace and joy within me. And so I framed them, and I turned them into cards, and I sent them to people, and I did all kinds of things with them. I even sold some at a garage sale. I just loved these little pieces of art. And what that did was it got me through a really, really rough time. So every time I saw that piece of art, it reminded me of that time and what I had accomplished. It put me in that zone. So if you're an artist, create beautiful things and put them all together on a board. If you're a writer like I am, use words. Use You know, you can use crayons, you can use Sharpies, you can use colored pencils, you can get things, you know, like let's say there's a beautiful tree and it's got a beautiful leaf and you want to capture that, or take photographs of things and then print them out. Photographs of things that remind you. It can really literally be anything. And this is the really beautiful thing about vision boards, is sort of the magic of creating. And when you're in that creative space, you're working towards your future, you're working towards your goals. So, you know, if your goal is, you know, weight loss and you want to eat healthier, or just being mindful of what you eat, maybe you just have a bunch of photographs of food. Or, you know, if you want to start much smaller, you can always start with the inspiration that you have around your house, the things that you already have, if you have things like that. You know, you don't have to start a vision board tomorrow. If you do the mind mapping and sort of figure out what your overall goals are, the rest will come to you when it's supposed to come. And you can sort of build it, keep it in a file, and just, you know, you could even start with just a blank slate, a blank poster board, and just keep putting things on it as they come to you. I mean, literally, it can be anything. The most important part is to be mindful daily, to work on it and work toward that goal. And so the goal isn't necessarily the board. The goal is figuring out what you want in your future and working towards that. The board is just a medium to capture that goal or those goals. So my vision board look more like this. So I have, this is a notebook of just things that are inspiring to me. And every time I come across something that's inspirational, I put it in there. And when I'm really, really down and I'm really in a funk, I'll pull that out. I can open it up to any page, and within a couple of minutes, my spirit is lifted, because it's just filled with things that speak to my soul. This is also part of my vision board. And it's just a 3-ring binder with mantras and things that I've created, and I read it every day. It's filled with what I want it's actually a letter to my future self from my present self. So if you've heard about those letters that people say, gee, if I could write to my past self, well, I'm writing to my future self letters, and I'm saying, I'm ready for my future, just guide me, pull me. And I read these things every day. And then I have a little notebook, and this is full of more immediate goals like travel and finances and things that are important to me. And so those 3 mediums currently are my vision board.
Mel, we have a question for you from Debbie. She says, you've mentioned mind mapping a few times now. Can you give us a description of what mind mapping is?
So mind mapping is just sort of, and unfortunately you couldn't see the slide that kind of explains that, but mind mapping is just sort of a way of using your mind to capture a goal and then to go deeper. So for instance, I gave the example of, you know, diet and exercise, you know, health and diet and exercise, and then just going deeper. So I'll take the word health and I'll write out health, and then I'll say, well, what about my diet? And then I'll write my goals for my diet, and then I'll write goals for my exercise. And then I'll say to myself, you know, I've done this before, why has it not happened? And so I'll go deeper, and I'll kind of, you know, branch off of that, and I'll go until I land on something that I haven't explored before, or something that really intrigues me, or something that motivates me. And then I'll kind of look at that and go, okay, you know, self-worth. I'm going to work on my self-worth. And so then I'm going to fill the board with positive affirmations that will boost my self-worth and the way I see myself and the way I feel about myself. Does that sort of make sense?
Debbie, does that answer your question?
Yes, that does give me some direction. Thanks.
Mind mapping is a whole thing in itself. I'm going to do a whole thing on mind mapping, but that's kind of just a brief, you know, it's kind of like if you were planning a party, all the steps, you know, okay, so, you know, breaking down, here's the party location and here's what the decor is going to look like. And you just break everything down until you get to, and emotionally in your mind, you're just going deeper and deeper and deeper until you land at a place where you feel really comfortable and a solid place to focus on and work on. And then you kind of spring from there. And then that's where real true change comes, because you're actually thinking and learning more about yourself as you go deeper into your feelings and your emotions.
Thank you.
So,
have to have you back to talk about mind mapping.
Yeah. So I love that. So vision boards, do they really work? And so this is where we can kind of circle around to sort of I created a bunch of vision boards and they didn't really work, but maybe some of the things on the vision boards worked. So here's the reason why that is. There is nothing wrong with having 5 or 6 vision boards going on at once. The very first like real serious vision board on a board that I did, and I've been doing vision boards for years. I've been doing this work for years. But the very first like vision board that I did, I broke it into 2 parts. I was going to have 2 separate boards, but I decided to break it into 2 parts, and one was personal and one was business. And then I just took like just major goals on each side, and then kind of did the mind mapping of here's the overall picture, and then here are the things that I'm going to do to achieve this. And I had that vision board hanging on my wall for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And then one day I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I'm done. This vision board got me as far as it's going to get me. And so I didn't destroy it right away. I didn't get rid of it right away. But I did sort of start recreating the board. And when I was satisfied that I had pulled the things that were still important to me off the original board, then I was able to sort of replace it with this newer, fresher board. And I do that every time I feel like I need a refresher or feel like I'm going in a different direction. Now, not everything on the board happens. And not everything on the board happens the way I thought it was going to happen. So let's say, for instance, you know, my goal for my vision board was, for my business, was to make X amount of money, and my business didn't get near, you know, I didn't make that mark. But where did I go? And what did I accomplish in reaching that goal? I was able to accomplish a lot of other goals. And at the same time, I was able to realize that my business wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to go into. And so just in knowing that I hadn't reached my goal, and yet my business didn't exactly look the way I wanted it to look, I was able to create a new vision board, create new goals for myself, and then make that, again, a target. So we'll see with this new stuff if I reach my goals, right? I feel like I'm on my way. But I had to change some things and tweak some things. But I did get myself in a better financial position than I was before. So I did make progress, even though I didn't reach the actual number that I wanted to reach. And then, like I said, all the time, I'm, you know, kind of looking at something and going, you know what, I really wanted this, and I've decided now I don't. I had a huge personal goal that was very public, and I was very public about it, and somebody else stepped up and said, you know what, I really want this, and I turned it over to her, and I went in a different direction, because through meditation I realized that I brought that thing to the level that it needed to be, and then it was time to turn it over to someone else, and it was time to pursue other things. It freed me to pursue other things. So I'm learning so much every time I create a vision board, and I bring those goals to the present and really reflect on them and really go after them. It's so super, super powerful, even if it doesn't look exactly the way I wanted it to. Any questions? So vision boards, they work, but how is it that they work? Well, they work because you're setting the intention. You're manifesting your future. You are large and in charge of your own destiny. And you are co-creating with the universe to do what you were put on this planet to do, right? So telling yourself things like, you are worthy, you are able, you are powerful, you are present, you're pure, connected, loved, supported, and you have purpose. Keeping all of that in mind, setting the intention, following your instincts, paying attention to opportunities that sort of are laid before you, give you the opportunity to pursue your dreams and live your life's work. And when you're doing your life's work, you'll know it. When you're on track, you'll know it because it fulfills you and satisfies you in a way that just can't be described. I mean, you have to experience it to know the beauty and the energy and the wonderful things that happen when you discover and pursue your life's work. And the universe has a great way of letting you know you're off track and then supporting you when you're on track. Any questions on vision boards? Okay, so I just want to say a little bit about COVID-19, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before. So I created a vision board, and Whitney can attest to this. I was really, really frantically trying to get it in right at a certain time, and I kind of slid in and I got it done, and I was really excited, and I had this great momentum going. And for me, sort of things went south even before COVID-19. I started off the year really sick. And then I got better and we went out of town and we came back. We had a little vacation and I got sick again. And then I recovered from that and then I got sick again. And then I recovered and I had a couple of weeks of great momentum and then COVID-19 hit. So I saw something on Facebook that said COVID-19 was not on my vision board. And I laughed out loud because I was like, no kidding. But then I really realized that really in a lot of ways it was. I started thinking about all the things that I wanted to accomplish, all the time and all the effort. And I kind of went in and I dug deep. And I used that time after a couple of weeks of freaking out about the whole COVID-19 thing. I started to kind of go in and I thought, you know, this is happening and it's happening for a reason. What is that reason? And what does it mean to me? And what's going on right now in my life that I can control, that I can focus on, and that I can pay attention to? And I went back to the vision board and I realized that, again, I had all these ideas and these thoughts in my mind that were leading me to something. They were leading me, but they weren't the end goal. And so I dug a little deeper and I realized that there were things that I really was passionate about and I really wanted to do. Talk about vision boards on a much grander scale was one of those things. And so I was asked to co-lead a group. And when they were looking for presenters, I said, I can present. And then the next thing I know, I'm presenting something on vision boards. And then a week later, Whitney contacts me and says, I want you to present to my group. And then I have some people in my personal life that have been like, I want you to present to my friends. And so it's really sort of just taking off. And it was on my vision board. And it feels good and it feels right. And it feels like I'm going in the right direction because it's information that I was given to present. It's information that it's kind of part of what I'm supposed to be doing right now, and it feels really good. And so I want to challenge all of you, no matter where you are or what you're doing, to just start doing a little personal reflection, like figuring out your goals, figuring out what it is that you want your life to look like. Not what you think is possible, not what other people have told you is possible, but what you really want. And this is a hard one. I remember the first time I sat down to do this, I had a page for every aspect of my life, and it was really hard to fill it out because I don't think a lot about what is it that I really want for myself and for those around me, right? So do that. See where that brings you. See where you land. Figure out a way to capture those thoughts in some way, whether it be, foam board or poster board or a 3-ring binder, or just record those thoughts in some way, and then reflect, add, cross out, change. But go for it. Every day, think of ways that you can sort of pursue and manifest and make those things happen, and just the universe help you out and watch things unfold. It's really exciting. So that's pretty much it for the presentation. Any additional questions?
Mel, I just want to attest to the power of vision boards and what you've helped me accomplish. In 2019, you said, set a financial goal for what you want to make in your business. And I set a number, and you were like, no, you need to dream bigger. So I pulled this number out of the sky that just felt totally pie in the sky. There's no way I will ever earn this much money in my life. And then I exceeded it by 25% in 2019. Like I quintupled.
That's awesome.
Quintupled my income, which felt really good. And I didn't even feel like I was working super hard to it. It kind of flowed once I put it out there.
I love it.
And
I love
it's
it.
because of you. I
it.
would not have dreamed that big if it weren't for you. So
thank you. Thank you. No, I love that. And I shared that I did not meet my financial goal because I was more interested in the creation and the material, and being in this creative space was the most important thing to me. And I just allowed myself to take as much time as I needed to really just work through some things and really just figure out sort of what worked for me and what didn't work for me. And I went down one path, and as we know, that didn't, I was going to have employees, and then I decided not to do that. And, we spent a lot of time in that direction, and we'll have to see all those experiences, because it was on my vision board. We'll have to see what that led to, because I do believe that there are no mistakes. There is no wasted time. Everything leads to something else if you're just mindful and pay attention to the journey. And that's the beauty. That's sort of where I want you guys to sort of land, is in the journey. Land in your journey, be kind to yourself, allow things to unfold, allow things to happen. And like Whitney alluded to earlier, just look at things with a lot of curiosity and just ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? What is this time teaching me? What is this thing on my vision board? What is it here to teach me? That's a deeper thought that I hadn't considered. What's that all about? Just really take the time to really reflect and really tap deep inside of yourself, because all the answers are within. And if you do this, it's such an exciting journey. And this is a great tool to use to really catapult yourself into your future.
Thank you so much, Mel. Let's see if we have any
Thank
questions.
you.
Craig says, excellent info. Thanks, Melinda and Whitney. Thank you, Craig, for coming.
Yes, thank you so much.
And Bill says thank you to Whitney, Devin, and Mel. You're welcome, Bill. Thanks for being here. And your contact information is on the handout. So if people think of questions later, they can always reach out to you. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you again. And I'm be excited to have you back on July 1st to talk about accountability partnerships.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in
Yeah,
between,
that'll be,
oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say 2 weeks from now on the 17th, we'll have a special guest, Danielle Isaac, and she'll be talking with us about how to keep energized as we're striving to reach our goals. So thank you so much for helping us be inspired to dream big. So I'm inviting each of you to join our Facebook community if you'd like to have some accountability and support and encouragement as you're doing your vision boards and setting your goals and dreaming big. We're here for you. It's a safe, confidential, no judgment zone. So please join us. Well, thank you again, Mel. I guess we'll wrap up.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks everyone for being here. I do feel, yes, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here with us this evening, and luck and success to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.